I am a serial plant killer. They all die. My husband's even got me plants that on the tag say, can't kill it, dead. They just don't survive with me, okay? But one time I got this beautiful plant, and it had just beautiful, I don't know what it was, but it was beautiful. And I put it outside on the patio, and I even got one of those gardener's watering things, with all the holes at the top. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna water this plant. Okay, because I don't usually. Anyway, so I really wanted this plant to live. I was rooting for it. And after about 2 weeks, I see just half the plant, split it right down the middle in half. Half of it was starting to dry out. And I was like, what is happening to this plant, right? So I just kept watering it. I was like, maybe not water, I don't know. Bought some fertilizer. I mean, it was just, anyway. But the half of the plant kept dying. And about a week later, I walk out to water it. Half of the plant is brown. The leaves are dried up. And the other half of the plant is growing to the right. It was growing and then I realized it's growing to the sun. It's literally fighting for its life by growing to its life source, right? The plant wasn't supposed to be in the patio. It was supposed to be outside in the sun, right? Even plants, you see, level of all being, everything alive has the inclination to keep living, even down to plant life, right? Okay, second level, that middle level. We also share in common, by our nature, some things with animals. And this is the level of all sensible being. Not sensible like that makes sense. Sensible as in things we take in with our senses, right? And so animals also have senses. So every kind of living thing that has senses is also inclined to the procreation and education of offspring. And what that means is not sending them to a school or whatever. That's not what that means. What it means is we are inclined to have more humans and teach them how to be human. That's the kind of education. Just like a mama duck leads her babies to the lake, right? And they all go swim together as soon as they're born. That is the inclination to procreation and education of offspring. She's teaching those ducks how to be a duck. You see that? Okay, so we share that in common with everything that has senses in the visible world. This is where our similarity to the visible world ends. Because then we have something that no other kind of creature has. The intellect and the free will. These are spiritual powers. How do we know? He did, but he also made us material beings. Okay, I'm going to give an example. We're going to examine love. So we're going to bring love into the room. And yeah, you can't, can you? You can think about, we could show some effects of love. We could bring some effects of love into the room. We could get a couple that's been married for a long time. That's a kind of loving, right? We're going to have adoration. That is love itself, right? We could, right? Well, Jesus is negating my point. Okay, it's okay, Jesus, I forgive you. Okay, all right, so the point, though, is I can still know what love is, but I don't need the material object to know what it is. That is a spiritual, what we call a spiritual faculty, a spiritual power that all humans have, that all rational creatures have, because there's other kinds of rational creatures. Y'all know what they are? But they're not in the visible world. It's not aliens, Father. They're not in the visible world, because aliens would still be visible if they're real. Okay, but they're not. But I'm sorry. That was my opinion. Okay, anyway. Angels. Angels, they don't have bodies, but they are literally intellect and free will. They're purely spiritual beings. See, we share that in common with them, right? Okay, the will, we already talked a little bit about what the intellect does, right? The intellect can know and also know ourselves, but then there's an even higher truth that the intellect can know. And this is every rational creature has the natural inclination to know truth itself, to know truth. And the highest truth we can know is God himself. I am the way, the truth, and the life, Jesus said, right? So the human person by our nature, we were ordered to God. to know him. Okay, then the will, the natural inclination it gives us is to live in society. Another way to say that is to love the other. Okay, Jesus knew us very well. In one of the Gospels, he says, the two greatest commandments: love the Lord your God with all your will, with all your mind, with all your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. You see those two inclinations? Those are two rational inclinations. He said them according to our nature. That's why he gave us those two, right? Okay, so that brings us now to our present. Unfortunately, I forgot one thing on the handout, I'm sorry. In that top picture, notice the red arrows going down from the rational, permeating the entire soul of the person. That's just a symbol that we are rational, and the rational inclinations, they had what we call dominion, self-dominion over the lower inclinations. And then those purple arrows going up, that's how our lower inclinations would respond. Happily obedient to everything in us that was right. Those lower inclinations happily submit. And what that allowed was that everything the human person did was ordered to our highest inclination. Oh, Adam, we have all these trees. We can eat from, any of these trees, but this one, let's get some grapes, right? Oh, okay, I want to eat some grapes now. Why am I doing that? For the glory of God. Adam, let's have a baby. Why are we going to do that? For the glory of God. You see, everything in the human person was ordered to our highest purpose, the glory of God. You see that? Okay. Now, we move. That was our past, because unfortunately something happened. Okay, Adam and Eve, come on down. Bring your gift. Yes, bring your gift, Adam. Okay, now before the fall, we have a problem here, Adam. Okay, excellent. Okay.
Now we'll be able to see.
Okay, that's okay. You don't need to right now. Oh, Eve. Okay, Eve. All right, here you go, Eve. Okay. What? You're going to take them off soon. Don't worry. Okay. Now, before the fall, okay, the relationship between them, right? What John Paul says, they participated in God's knowledge, God's understanding of who the human person was. So when they saw each other, what they saw was another person that's like me, made in God's image and likeness. And I'm called to give myself for her, give myself for him. That is what they saw. That's what they understood a person to be. But then something happened, right? We have a problem, don't we? Okay, all right, we have a problem. And I'll let you know, for all the guys here, the story says, look, she's pushing it toward you. Right? That's exactly what she did. That was excellent. Okay. Oh, you don't like snakes. It's fake. Okay. All right. So the story says Eve did eat the fruit. And then she gave some to her husband, who was with her. Just want to throw that out there. Adam, you were there. Okay, so you participated. Okay, I'll put the snake away. All right. Oh, you would have killed the snake.
No.
You could have stopped me. You could have stopped me. Exactly. That's what Adam was supposed to do. Stop her. Okay, all right. Okay, but he didn't. All right. And she ate the fruit. Gave it to him. Okay, so glasses off. Now we look at some of the effects of that decision. Okay, now what I need y'all to do now is I need you to turn around back to back, but don't touch. Okay, so spread out a little bit more. Take a step forward, Eve. Bigger steps. Bigger. Okay, good. Okay, Adam, take a few steps forward. You're forward. This way. There you go. Okay, all right. Okay, now, they are still called, though. They're still called to make gifts of themselves for each other. But now, we got some big problems in the relationship, right? Because now they're fallen. So that relationship has been broken. Okay, so Adam, your job is still to pass that gift box to Eve, but you can't talk and you can't turn around.
Don't throw that.
Don't throw it at me. Okay. I know, right?
Reach back. There it is.
Okay, good. Now, Eve, pass it back. Okay, all right. Much harder, isn't it? All right, give Adam and Eve a hand. Y'all did great. All right, okay. Thank you. You can take the veil off now. Eve, thank you so much. All right, excellent. Thank you. Look, she's even handing in her sign. She's like really done. Okay, it's okay. You were done. It's okay. All right. So we have this brokenness in our relationship. Now, John Paul describes it this way. He said, there is now an insurmountable threshold between man and woman that cannot be overcome anymore. And I'll give you an example. If you've ever done a project with someone of the opposite sex, if you're married, you have had this conversation. Why don't you understand what I'm saying? Like, we're both speaking English. He does not get what I'm saying at all. Right? Have you ever had a conversation with the opposite sex and you're like, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Not that she is. Adam. Okay, all right. So you see, he says what happens is there's this brokenness in their communication. There is this divide between them now that can't be crossed. I mean, you gotta make a lot of effort, right? Yeah, then we can aggravate them. Score. No, I'm kidding. Okay, all right, so John Paul says, we also experienced what he calls an interior, what we now would call concupiscence. See, this is our present after the fall, right? And he says what happened to the person after the fall, he said the effect was instant. As soon as they sinned, Adam and Eve, by the way, this represents us, right? Okay. He says what they experienced was an interior shattering. I am. Because that's what the fall did to us. An interior shattering. Oh no, it's marble. It's never going to break. Hang on. Okay. Father, if I break this table, don't charge us. Okay. It didn't break. All right. Okay. An interior shattering. So now we're going to look at our second part of that handout, right? We went from that perfectly ordered interior to now I'm going to do a little reading about what happened to our interior from an author named C.S. Lewis. And it's from the book, The Problem of Pain, and this is what he says that effect was like inside of us. He says, it was a loss of status as a species. A loss of status as a, see, we're like, hey, I'm a good person, Father. I never killed nobody. Murder's not the problem. I mean, it's a problem, but it's not the problem at the root. The problem is not that we haven't killed somebody. The problem is that we're fallen. We have all been shattered by sin. Even if we're trying to be holy, we're still fallen. We're still broken. Okay, because it was a loss as a status, as a species. And then Lewis goes on to say, it was the emergence of a new kind of man, or human, a new species never made by God, sinned itself into existence. Sinned itself into existence that God never intended, because he never intended us to sin. He never intended it. But we all have sinned, and this has been the result, right? Okay, how are we, can you imagine trying to put this back together and make it back to the original? John Paul says you can't, because we forever left how God made us behind. You can't put it back together. But what we can do, and what Jesus did do, is he can reconstruct it. That's what we're going to be talking about next week. But I would like to leave us with a little bit of hope. Because even in that Genesis story, after they sin, Adam and Eve, they hide from God and then God finds them, right? They're all hiding. They're scared. And then when God finds out what happened, remember, he starts doling out the consequences. The serpent, he says, because you did this, you're going to have this consequence. Adam, because you did this, you're going to have this consequence. Eve, you're going to have this consequence, right? He doles out like, these are going to be your consequences because you chose yourself over me, right? And right in that story, right after that happens, but right before he kicks them out of the garden, there's one line, and it says this. It says, and then God made them clothes of skin, meaning like better clothes. God entered into their brokenness, which is a foreshadowing of God actually entering into our human condition, right, in the incarnation. But we call that the proto-evangelium, the gospel before the gospel. So there is hope in the story, right? And we're going to get to that hope next week, so you have to come and bring all your friends, right? Okay, and we're going to hang out for adoration. And as Father is getting ready to do that, I just wanted to, again, thank you for being here. And if you are interested, it is in no way obligatory, but we are not charging any of